boys and girls of every age. Wouldn't you like to see something strange?
Come with us and you will see. This our town of Halloween. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Pumpkins scream in the dead of night. This is Halloween. Everybody make a scene.
Welcome, foolish mortals. My name is Sean Mudflaps Morrison, and you are watching Follower Me 111. This is episode 19 for October 26th, 2015. This is Halloween week, and so that's what we're going to talk about in tonight's show. We're going to invite you to hang out with all your favorite ghosts, goblins, ghouls, but most importantly, with the Lord. And you're going to say, how does that work? How does Christianity and Halloween come together? Is there a place where faith and fun collides when you talk about demons and ghouls and goblins and, well, like they say in the Haunted Mansion, there are 999 happy haunts, but there's always room for one more. So I like to show you how, yes, in fact, the Bible and the Word of God can definitely collide with faith and fun. So tonight we're going to look at the history of Halloween. We're going to look at some of the roots. Are they pagan? What's a Christian supposed to do? Are they supposed to hide themselves in their house? Are they supposed to turn off all the lights and never answer the door when a trick-or-treater comes? What is this deal with Halloween? What are we supposed to do with it? How can we be Christians and shine our light? And also, what are some fun, cool things that we can go and do? So that's tonight's show, so come with me and follow me. So before we get into all of our Halloween coverage, I do want to apologize for the fact that we didn't have a podcast last week. If you looked at Follower Me 111 on Facebook or one of our social media outlets, you would have seen that we planned a show on some of the great things to see after dark at the Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World. Unfortunately, my schedule didn't allow it, so that's probably going to be next week's show. I will tell you guys that God's doing something kind of special, kind of unique in my life. Doing some pretty cool things, so I'm trying to keep this a weekly podcast, but, you know, we're going to have to go with the flow. I know that's horrible. I wish I could tell you every Tuesday night we're going to be on, but I'm trying my best. Hopefully it will be every week, but as Thanksgiving comes along, as Christmas comes along, as there's new things in my life that are happening, I'm going to ask you guys to be patient as you follow me as I follow Christ. So, again, we're going to talk about Halloween. Let's start first with the history of Halloween. What is this holiday? Where did it even come from? And what am I as a Christian supposed to do about it? Well, I want to share with you guys an article from John MacArthur, pastor you guys maybe heard on the radio. Maybe you've been to his church. He's got a huge church. But he really dives into the history and then what is a Christian supposed to do with Halloween. So guys, let's check out this article. So John MacArthur says in his article, the pagan origin of Halloween. The name Halloween comes from the All Saints' Day celebration of the early Christian church, a day set aside for the solemn remembrance of the martyrs, people who died for their faith. All Hallows' Eve, the evening before All Saints' Day, began the time of remembrance. All Hallows' Eve was eventually contracted to Halloween, which became, as we call it now, Halloween. As Christianity moved through Europe, it collided with indigenous pagan cultures and confronted established customs. Pagan holidays and festivals were so entrenched that new converts found them to be a stumbling block to their faith. To deal with the problem, the organized church would commonly move a distinctly Christian holiday to a spot on the calendar that would directly challenge a pagan holiday. So the church wanted to take on the pagan holiday, and we moved our day to their day. The intent was to counter pagan influences and provide a Christian alternative, but most often the church only succeeded in Christianizing a pagan ritual. The ritual was still pagan, but mixed with Christian symbolism. That's what happened to All Saints' Eve. It was the original Halloween alternative. Now he goes and he says, the Celtic people of Europe and Britain were pagan druids whose major celebrations were marked by the seasons. At the end of the year in Northern Europe, people made preparations to ensure winter survival by harvesting the crops and culling the herds, slaughtering animals that wouldn't make it. Life slowed down as winter brought darkness, shorter days and nights. As you guys know, next week we're going to start daylight savings time. We're going to go into the shorter days. That's when they had better ground, follow ground, and death. The imagery of death symbolized by skeletons like Jack and the rest of the stuff that you can see at Halloween time, that was all connected with this pagan holiday. The pagan festival, pronounced Samhain, celebrated the final harvest, death, and the onset of winter for 3 days, October 31st to November 2nd. The Celts believed the curtain dividing the living and the dead lifted during this holiday to allow the spirits of the dead to walk among the living, ghosts haunting the earth. Some embraced the season of haunting by engaging in occult practices such as divination and communication with the dead. They sought divine spirits, demons, and the spirits of their ancestors regarding weather forecasts for the coming year, crop expectations, and even romantic prospects. I didn't know this, but bobbing for apples was one practice the pagans used to divine the spiritual world's blessings on a couple's romance. So, what'd you know? Bobbing for apples was the original Viagra. Who knew? For others, the focus on death, occultism, and divination, and the thought of spirits returning to haunt the living fueled ignorant superstitions and fears. They believed spirits were earthbound until they received a proper send-off with treats, possessions, wealth, food, and drink. Spirits who were not suitably treated would trick or treat, those who had neglected them. The fear of haunting only multiplied if that spirit had been offended during its natural lifetime. Trick-bent spirits were believed to assume grotesque appearances. Some traditions developed which believed wearing a costume to look like a spirit would fool the wandering spirits. Others believed the spirits would be warded off by carving a grotesque face into a gourd or root or vegetable. The Scottish, people like me, they used turnips, and they put a light inside and they called it the jack-o'-lantern. Now that's some of the pagan history, that's some of the pagan roots to this holiday. But what are we as Christians supposed to do? Are we never supposed to go and celebrate a holiday? Are we never supposed to reach out to this world? Are we never supposed to go and indulge sometimes in candy and costumes? Is all that stuff evil? There's those in the church who will tell you, yes, you are not allowed to do any of that. I don't find that. I don't find that anywhere in Scripture. I don't see where we're supposed to hide our heads in the sand and pretend that this stuff doesn't exist. I see where we're supposed to confront the dark society. You know, maybe Halloween does have some pagan roots, but I want to tell you guys something. So does Christmas. Jesus was never born on December 25th. That came because of another pagan holiday where the church tried to Christianize it. So when we have these fall festivals, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a way for the church to reach out to the community. But guys, we have to realize that Halloween is not going anywhere. I think now is the time for us to go into the darkness and bring the light, to be people who are about the Lord's business every day of the week. Not just on Sunday, not just on Easter, not just on Christmas, but on Halloween. I mean, come on. What better day is there to go out and shine the light of Christ? You know, it says in Genesis that what the enemy meant for evil, God used for good. And I totally believe that that can happen. I wish the church would be more involved in outreaches. I wish there would be more haunted houses that brought people to Jesus. I wish there would be more rock concerts that brought people to Jesus on Halloween. I wish that we had the best trick-or-treating anywhere so that the kids want to come and they want to get the candy. And when they get the candy, they get the gospel, which is the ultimate candy. You know, the Apostle Paul put it this way in Romans chapter 14. Let me grab my Bible real quick. The Apostle Paul put it this way in the book of Romans, talking to people who were trying to figure out which day is the right day to worship God. Well, he said this in Romans 14, starting in verse 5. One person considers one day to be above another. One person thinks that one day is better than another. Someone else considers every day to be the same. Each one must be fully convinced in his own mind. Whoever observes a day observes it to the Lord. Whoever eats to the Lord, since he gives thanks to God. And whoever does not eat, it is to the Lord that he does not eat, yet he thanks God. Check this out. For none of us lives to himself, and no one dies to himself. If we live to the Lord, and if we die to the Lord. Therefore, whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. Christ died and came to life for this, that he might rule both over the dead and the living. But you, why do you criticize your brother? Or why do you look down on your brother? For we will all stand before the judgment seat of God. For it is written, As I live, says the Lord, every knee will bow to me, and every tongue will confess to me So then each of us will give an account of himself to God. Now, if you're a person who thinks that Halloween is evil and you should never celebrate it, and you can't be a true Christian if you celebrate, we're not supposed to judge each other. That's what that verse just said. But at the same time, I'm not going to tell you that you have to celebrate Halloween. If you're a person who is offended by Halloween, then I'm going to encourage you to maybe turn off the rest of this program. Join us next week when we talk about Disney After Dark. But for tonight, I want to talk about Halloween. We talked already about some of the roots, some of the reasons why. But guys, there's so much more to this holiday. There's so much more that can be discussed. So you have to have your own reasoning, you have to have your own convictions, and you have to know that you're going to stand before the Lord one day. And I would wish that you would stand before the Lord and say, on Halloween, you know what I did? I was at home. I gave out the best candy on the block. I was a guy who went to the store and bought the $15 candy bars, and that's the ones that I gave to the kids. But I also gave them a gospel track. I also showed them how they could know Jesus, how even in this darkness we can shine the light of the Lord. So that's pretty cool, and that's where faith and fun collide on this holiday. Now, as we talked about in previous episodes with Halloween, the theme parks, they definitely get into it. You have Universal Studios, you have the Magic Kingdom, and you have Busch Gardens all in Central Florida, who are all wanting you to come and check out their theme park. Universal, they are probably, in my estimation, some of the darkest. It's been going on for 20 some odd years now, Halloween Horror Nights. People love it, they go out, they have fun. I'm not going to tell you as a Christian you can't go there. I'm going to say it's not exactly family friendly, and a lot of it, and that's why I don't go out there. I actually love going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, because it's just time to dress up, see some of the villains, see some of the Disney bad guys that you wouldn't typically see. Kids get to go trick-or-treating, they can go down Main Street, they can go all across the park, they can have a costume. It's kind of iffy on the mask, but you can do this as a kid or even as an adult, and you can go and you can get all sorts of candy. They have a great parade, they have all sorts of awesome stuff that I wish I could have done this year, but as it lined up, my birthday, my brother and I went up to Central Florida, we went camping, and while we were up there, we wanted to hit one of them. Well, we were going to go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, but for one thing, it was pretty expensive. I think it was $75 per person if you went on the night that we were there. The other thing was, it was on Friday night and on Sunday night, which didn't really work for me because I worked on Friday and I had to be back at work on Monday. So we wound up going over to Busch Gardens and going over to Hollow Scream. Now, I had never been there for Hollow Scream, but it was a pretty cool place. I'm going to tell you, I didn't do any of the haunted houses. There are 7 of them this year. I didn't do one of them, but I want to show you guys that you can still have fun, and you can still be a Christian, and yeah, there's a little bit of scary, a little bit of ghouls and goblins, but if you're over, I'd say, the age of maybe 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade, you could definitely go there, have a good time, not be scared out of your mind, and just enjoy the night. So I want to take you guys there now and show you a little bit of Hollow Scream. So Hollow Scream is a separate ticketed event. It cost my brother and I $50, but if it cost a regular person about $75 to go, it's definitely worth the money. You get time from 5 o'clock until 1 o'clock in the morning to go and enjoy the park. So the reason that my brother and I got a discounted price on our ticket was because of this little thing. This is called a Busch Gardens Fun Pass. With that, you pay one price. Usually, if you want to get your value out of it, you go the beginning of the year, and then you get to go to Busch Gardens for the rest of the year. With that, if you have an account and you have a Fun Pass, you can go to Hollow Scream, and it will cost you about, I think with the two of us, it came to $112, so with taxes and everything, it's about $62 a person. So you could go, you could have a good time, and you can actually save a couple of dollars, because if you don't have that, it's going to cost you an upwards of somewhere around $70. Now, if you're watching this week's show, you're going to know that Halloween is on Saturday, so you only have really Thursday, Friday, Saturday to go and enjoy this year's Hollow Scream. But if you go there, you're going to have a great time, and the first thing that you're going to see are some pretty freaky looking people, so let's go check that out. They sell Visine for that. I see dead as you can see, when you go in through the front gate and as you wander around the park in different areas, they do have scare zones. They do have places where guys with chainsaws, those girls with the Visine eyes, where different monsters are going to jump out at you and try and scare you. I saw some women who were actually pretty terrified of this. Now, I'm not trying to play the sexist card. I'm just telling you what I saw. My brother, you saw him in that last video. He's walking in front of me. He's kind of big, burly guy. They didn't jump out at him. They didn't jump out at me. But they go after the girls. So if you're there with a friend, with a sister, with a girlfriend, with a wife, just be prepared for that. The one thing I saw that I didn't really like was sometimes they would go after little kids. Now, to me, that's not cool, because I remember being the little kid. I remember being scared to go into these haunted houses. My parents took me when I was a kid to Halloween Horror Nights, and I think I'm still kind of traumatized by it. So I didn't like that part, but just seeing, them jump out and bang on doors and stuff and try and hide in the bushes, I loved it because, I'm the type of person where if I'm scared or startled, I can crack a joke just like that. So that's why I like it. But for me, it's not scary, and for me, it's not that evil. But you could go, you could have a good time, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about the haunted houses. Like I said, there's 7 of them this year, and I didn't go in any of them, but I still had a good time. That's the zombie containment unit horror house. I will not be going in there. I prefer sleeping. Hey guys, Sean Mudflaps Morrison here, reporting from Hollow Scream at Tampa Busch Gardens. It's a good time. It's a separate ticketed event. Lots of fun, especially if you're into that haunted house stuff. I'm actually not a haunted house fan. I like things a little more quiet. I don't like being scared too much. But you can still come out here. You can have a good time. My brother, he's hitting all the haunted houses. Kind of skipping them tonight. But you can still walk around, do the rides, have a good time, see the different lighting. They do have scare zones as you walk through the park where people will jump out at you, but it's not really scary. It's kind of funny. But if you are planning on coming this year or next year, you should definitely check it out. So let's talk more about Halloween in this week's show. So like I said, there's more to see there than just the haunted houses. Of course, that's the big draw. But if you don't like that kind of stuff, you could be like me and just go and ride Sheikra at night, go on Falcon's Fury at night. You could do some of the rides at night. They're definitely worth checking out. And you know what? Part of the thing is you don't have as many people as during the regular days, so you get a little bit of a reprieve from those super long lines. So if you've ever done Falcon's Fury, you know it's one of the closest things you can get to skydiving. It's even scarier at night when all you see is the lights below you as you're plummeting towards Earth. Another great nighttime ride is Cheetah Hunt. You go over 3/4 of a mile up to 60 miles an hour. You have 3 times where it goes super fast, and you do over 4 Gs, all in the dark. That's amazing. So much fun. Of course, they have a pumpkin patch where you can go and get your picture taken. And actually, as you walk around the park, you're going to see not just zombies and monsters, but there's also pretty cool statues and things where you can go and you can get your picture taken in front of it. With the lighting and the fog, it really makes for a good picture and a spooky night. So if you're not into the monsters so much and the scares and the this and that, they do have a music show at Hollow Scream that's kind of similar to if you've ever been over to Universal Beetlejuice's Graveyard Review. Well, this one is called Fiends. And what is it? It's basically a singing, dancing show, which I'm not a huge fan of. But it says this: the Hollow Scream tradition takes a new twist as Igor, Dr. Frankenstein, and the rest of your favorite monsters and misfits are going back to school. Frankenstein University welcomes the class of 2015 with a musical party of epic proportions. I don't know if it was epic proportions. I was there not a long time. I took a short video, so if that's your kind of thing, I want to show it to you. But you guys check it out. So as you can see, there's lots of fun to be had at Hollow Scream, or if you go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, or if you even are brave enough to go over to Halloween Horror Nights. I'm just going to tell you guys to be prepared. If you have little ones, maybe it's not a good idea to take them to some of these events. You know your kids. But ultimately, remember, at the end of the day, it's not about Frankenstein, it's not about witches, it's not about this, it's not about that. It's about God. It's about keeping God the center of everything. So if this is something that's going to offend you, then please, don't go. You know, that's the beauty of living in America. You don't have to do something that you don't want to do. But if you are cool with it, if you do see that there could be a redeeming value, a time to go, just have fun and maybe tell people about Jesus while you're there, then absolutely go, do it, have a good time. And that's really what I want to talk about for Halloween. Guys, I don't want you to do anything that goes against your conscience, anything that you say, oh, I can't do that. But if God is telling you to go out into this world and make disciples, well, then sometimes you need to go into places that maybe you're not as comfortable in. And there you need to shine the light. So find out what that thing is that you're supposed to do, and then make this the best Halloween ever. Go out there and shine the light of Christ. Go out there and share the love. Share about the man who died and rose from the grave to give us eternal life. That's what it's all about. That's cool. So before we end tonight's show, we need to do our follow cue. So the question from a couple weeks ago was, what is the name of the new nighttime show that's coming to Disney's Animal Kingdom? Now, of course, Don Michelin, you had the answer correctly. The answer is Rivers of Light. That's going in, I believe, next year, along with Avatar Land, along with Pandora, along with a lot of changes to the Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World and just Disney in general. So, along with that, I want to go into tonight's follow cue. So guys, cue the music. Alright, this week's question is, what is the name of Jack Skellington's dog? That's it. Real simple. Dude back there, what's the name of his dog? All you gotta do is send us a line, send it over to followerme111@yahoo.com. You can also send it via Facebook, via Instagram, via Pinterest, Tumblr, whatever medium that you want to send it to us. It's all over at followerme111. So that is going to be our question for tonight. Good luck. If you send me the correct answer before Sunday, November 1st at midnight, you will randomly be selected if you send in the right answer, and I will send out a prize to you. So all you have to do is send me the correct answer, send it along with your address, and I will send out that prize to you. So that's going to do it for our follow cue, but I want to talk about our follow up. Now that was on October 17th. It was actually when we celebrated my birthday. I recently just turned 33. I can't believe I'm actually 33. As my pastor says, that's a year of crucifixion, so I'm not really looking forward to that. Hopefully I get to live past 33, but you know, it was good enough for Jesus. Anyway, lots of good friends came out, lots of good time. We went over to TGI Fridays over by where I live, and so many people came out from Calvary Chapel, East Boca, West Boca. I really was blessed by the people who were there. Here's a quick picture to show you what happened. So I think in all there was something like 20 people, 25 people maybe, who showed up for my birthday. I was actually really impressed and really blessed by all these people who made it out. If you didn't make it, that's okay. We always have follow-ups once a month. It doesn't have to be a birthday just to have a good time. So with Thanksgiving right around the corner, Halloween of course is this week, Christmas isn't too far away, I'm not really sure how the follow-ups are going to happen for the next couple of months. I want them to continue, but guys, there's a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to pray and we're going to see what the next meeting will be. Hopefully by next week I will be able to tell you what the one will be for November. And then in December we're having a Christmas party. Basically we call it Home for Christmas. It's the 6th year that we're going to be having this. And if you are a follower of this show, if you are somebody who watches this show, drop me a line. Let me know you want to go. How it works, I provide the turkey, I provide the mashed potatoes, I provide the stuffing. The rest of the stuff is on you guys. Now usually for this, it's our biggest turnout of the year. It's not uncommon for me to pack out my house. So if you want to come and you're going to bring a dish, I ask that you share it with about 20 to 25 people. Now this is kind of a closed event, so why would I announce it here? Because if you can't come to my party, I want you to be able to go to somebody's party. At the party, what do? There is no drinking, there is no cursing, there is none of that stuff. What it is, it's just a time to hang out as family. Everybody there is a Christian or a friend of a Christian or a family member of a Christian. You come out, we sing Christmas carols, we talk about the story of Jesus and the Nativity, and we have a great time. Guys, everything that we do needs to be centered around Christ, even Halloween. So, I don't know what your Halloween plans look like. I don't know what your follow-up plans look like for the next couple of months, but if you aren't a part of this community, please get involved. Tell your friends about it, tell your family about it. We would love you guys to be connected with us, to be connected not only with us, but with the church, with God, with the Bible, with all the important stuff for life. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. I encourage you guys to just continue to shine your light as you go out into Halloween and into some of the darkness. I know that you guys are called to do amazing things. So keep rocking for God. Have a good night. God bless you. Good night.